Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Deep Space Nine Reactions. I am Fred. If you're new to the channel, welcome. If you are a returning viewer, welcome back. For those who are new here, who don't know, we are going through every episode of Deep Space Nine in order with my ongoing rants and ravings as I rewatch the episodes, uh, uncut, unfiltered, giving my honest thoughts and opinions and any bit of trivial knowledge that I have coming up, and in a bit of a long form discussion format. I'm essentially talking to you about the episodes in question. So there we go. You don't hear any audio from the episodes, and you don't, of course, see the episodes because we got it blurred. We got some, little texting on top of it. And the reason for that, Paramount is kind of, well, recently Paramount has become an even more evil corporation, as we all know, thanks to their new owner, Skybox, or whatever the hell it is that it's called. So you think I'm going to risk crossing the line with them in that regard? I think not, because this is a transformative state here in terms of how I'm presenting this. Okay, so the episode that we're watching this week is The Forsaken. What do I remember about this episode? Off the top of my head, this is the episode where Loxana Troy appears, and yet another legacy character from the Next Generation just happening to show up on Deep Space Nine in a kind of a semi-contrived fashion. But I say semi-contrived because Loxana does have an ambassadorial title, and so showing up on the station as a new frontier, leading into the Gamma Quadrant and stuff like that. It is prudent for her to be there just based on her title. Beyond that, I think this is also the episode, I believe, where Bashir's status as a junior officer is kind of exposed a little bit as to the honors and duties that someone of that low of rank have, such as escorting ambassadors around and making sure that their needs are attended to. You don't really see this on the Next Generation or even the original series too much because, heaven forbid, that they actually made use of characters of a lower rank. Matter of fact, there was actually one episode of the Next Generation I can think of where it actually did, and that was the fucking awful episode, Liaisons. Granted, it was supposed to be Troy and Riker, but it ended up being Troy and Worf escorting a couple of aliens around, and it's like, so they weren't even really delegating this role to a junior officer, although technically Worf would be one. Way. I think those were the overall plots here. All right, so we're going to get into it. So take a swig of water. 46925.1. It was a Tuesday. Cisco sounded absolutely thrilled about having ambassadors on board the station, and that he has the fact that his log entry points out that he has an officer that's just perfect for the job, and it cuts to Bashir. Wait, Morn! Morn is in the background in the first scene. Take a shot for Morn. Of course, you got a bitchy and Batch that are wanting bigger quarters, kind of like as opposed as a callback to Elaine of Troyes. Alana of Troyes from the original series. It's a Bolian, named after Cliff Bole, one of the Star Trek's all-time great directors, in case you don't know. Cisco is very busy. He has duties. He has responsibilities. What are they recalibrating? Weapons. The four cannons. A Turian is on board the station, and that's The man's recalibrating. Bashir's just lying his ass off. And the fact that I know Loxana is in this episode and that she is wearing a pink wig and that she's standing right behind Bashir at the Dabo table, it's all the more obvious. But again, if you don't know it's her, it becomes as it is a genuine surprise, positive or negative, depending on how you feel about Loxana Troy as a character. I myself hate Loxana Troy as a character because she reminds me of certain family members, both living and dead. Ooh, who's the cutie in the purple ensemble that was just behind Bashir here? And I'm not talking about Loxana here. Oh, she just got behind Bashir again. She's been wigged? Yes, you are wearing a wig, Loxana. Says is not responsible for all those personal items. What sign? The one above the door. You can barely read that sign too. And she grabbed him by the ears. He grabbed him by the ears, so she's either squeezing his nads or giving him umlaks. Just remember, Loxana has had a run-in with the Ferengi in a horribly named episode called Menage a Troy. I'm not even kidding. They actually have a TNG episode called Menage a Troy. Like they traced something back for 36 generations. That's a bit excessive. And that's actually a clever line that Laxana points out, that she never wears this brooch with never wears that specific hair without the brooch. And that's like a foreshadowing there that she is wearing a wig, which it would not be any more apparent to anybody who has not seen, the Next Generation. Odo's saying that Quark doesn't need to resort to petty theft, but in a later episode, he makes comments about he will miss the petty theft and the aggravations and other things. Odo spots the actual culprit, another a cousin species of the Ferengi. Well, actually, when you think about it, there is a similarity there with the bald head and the drawn back ears. It was a complete pickpocket. As Abdopterians. I don't think that alien design never gets used again, but it's a unique look. I don't know if it is reused again. It's either going to be on Voyager or Enterprise, and repurposed to be a different species entirely. So, as I mentioned, as the opening credits, they wrote in here. I'm not exactly a fan of the Loxana Troy character, as again reminds me of certain family members. Um, Knowing the fact that Loxana was supposed to be is essentially the stereotype of an overbearing Jewish mother, right on down to overly embarrassing Deanna Troy and just making things completely awkward with her overwhelming presence and everything of that sort. It did not endear the character to me as a young viewer growing up. And when going back and watching episodes of the Next Generation, it realized that Loxana only really has like one good episode. That is the one where David Ogden Stiers guest stars in. I forget. I think it's called Half a Life. That's like Loxana's most endearing role. at least in terms of the next generation. And I will say the Loxana character works here in this episode because she is paired with Odo's, someone who is a complete opposite and is literally will end up being trapped in a turbo lift with her for a good duration of it. But again, that works mainly because Rene Auberjonois knows how to play off people as an actor in a television sense. Back to it. The Forsaken. O'Brien arguing with the computer. It, it, it's it's a unique thing here where like he is having to bicker with it in terms of like Federation standards, or at least O'Brien standards, are much higher than Cardassian standards. Keep an eye on the exhaust temperature. Never know when something will blow up. Yeah, the procedure is not recommended. Yeah, and the computer telling O'Brien, go read the fucking manual, you Irish nitwit. I mean, I'll forget it. Does the end of the computer end up being right? O'Brien has had enough. No, he can't relax. There's no computer. It's his arch enemy. You have to do a root canal? And how long would that take him to rebuild a computer from ground up? Coincidentally, 2 or 3 years is essentially when it would be back end of season 3, start of season 4. So where a lot of things of Deep Space Nine are reconfigured a bit when the show basically goes from straight syndication to airing on, or at least in my area, was on UPN. It was also syndicated in that way, but oh well. Cisco is not happy that the ambassadors brought them to ops. Is like says they insisted. Ben is like, what do you expect them to do? There's Wait a second, I've seen there's no gargoyles or anything of the light in on the quarter imprint, wall imprints. Where the hell is she getting gargoyles from? Unless somebody's quarters were given up, and a ship is coming through the wormhole. It's a wonderful sight. And he's complaining it's a sure thing. The wormhole opens, the wormhole closes. Yes. Download what's on there without any form of antivirus protection. This Vulcan, the Vulcan ambassador is just eager to get his hands involved in something. He was interested in like overseeing for some recalibrations. He's eager to get his hands involved with Dax's station. It's something tells me the Vulcan ambassador is someone who's just fairly recently retired from active duty and is trying to adjust to being an ambassador or just misses being like out in the field? They're briefing at 4 in the morning for whatever reason. Why? Why? Why would there be a briefing at 4 in the damn morning? That makes no. It makes some sense, but come on, if somebody falls asleep at let's say 2200 hours, that's kind of like a long. That's kind of like an early time. It's still an early time to wake up. And that, granted, Bajor has a 26-hour long day. Now, I want to say this about Loxana's outfit here. With the red hair and the blue top, that works. But the dress portion is a bit bulky for the blue upper portion. He's the thin beige line between order and chaos. Beige because Odo is essentially plain. She only lost her heart for you, Odo. Your first name or last name? Yes. It's both, right, essentially. Yeah, she's right. There's a lyrical quality to Odo's name. Odo. Granted, many things with Loxana rolls off tongues. Parapa. The nervousness there, and the fact that she's tracing her finger around his comm badge is making him nervous as hell. And that she is coming on not as strong as she would on like Picard in the episode Manhunt, but she's certainly laying it on thick here. Just leaning in, leaning in, leaning in. Is that the calm? And Odo just getting the hell out of Dodge. And again, it works so much better when you have someone like Renee Auberjonois that can play off of. Let's be honest, Michelle Barrett was a fucking hack as an actress. But if you have somebody who can actually play to her limited strengths, it actually works a lot better than it did with Patrick Stewart and even Marina, in terms of being someone wanted for a man to play off of her. That is also a great over down crane shot of Ops. Let's show how freaking tall the set is too. Like, well done, computer. You're behaving yourself. And you realize that how tall that set is for like the turbo lift to be coming up on it too. Is like it's got to be like a few. Like clearly there's a bottom level, a middle level, and a top level. And realize, and you also on top of that, the promenade set is even bigger. He's overly grateful, but Cisco does not understand the problem that Odo is having. And the way Avery Brooks' smile here is like, what's wrong with that? A woman's interested in you? And Odo points out that that Loxana is overly aggressive. The little implication here that Cisco even throws out the line. Have you thought about letting her catch you? It's like, and that's also a holdover there when you have to realize that Cisco was meant to be a much younger man than what you that to put in. Let me put it out there that Alexander Siddig was up for the role of Commander Cisco, which obviously went to Avery Brooks. So this line here, ever thought about letting Loxana just catch you? Totally would fit the way Alexander Siddig's more a more youthful approach would have worked here. But with Avery Brooks being older, it does come across as a bit weird. Odo does not understand does not understand women. Granted, he does have a pining crush for Kira, which gets revealed in season 3. Yeah, season 3. Yep, Odo is not a delicate man. Now, as regards to the Bajoran assistant here to O'Brien, I believe this character gets recasted for either not being this actress not being available later in this late in a couple episodes from now in the hands of the prophets. But essentially, her character was supposed to be Neela in that episode. I think their names are supposed to be the same too. Yeah, the probe came from the other side of the Gamma Quadrant. Who knows if the technology is compatible or not? And with that blonde hair and a red dress, that's a good combination there. He reserved. The way Odo delivers the line, you told Quark you're going to into a hollow suite with me? I can imagine how the ribbing Quark would lay down on Odo over that entire situation. If it was like if he was dragged into Quark's and up to the hollow suite, Odo will never hear the end of it. And I believe this is also the only time you actually see this angle of the turbulence that where you see that there are no doors and that it's just everything is just explored. There's like little the bulkheads between floors and the upper doors and such. Yes, every 16 hours he turns into a liquid. Regeneration takes about who knows. I don't think it's ever said that how much time regeneration time he needs. And of course, the power goes down, and they're trapped in the turbo lift. Power has failed. O'Brien, get back up here. Prepare to energize, and the transporters go down. He's waiting to be transported. O'Brien was taking a nap. Like you can almost hear O'Brien getting out of bed. Just like, son of a bitch, who's waking me up? What's broken down now? And the horror on Odo's face. Alone at last. That's just again perfect reactions there. Again, and you think about it, it would not work with Picard. Patrick Stewart does not really have, to put it mildly, does not really have that television presence as doesn't really have that much of emotion range as a TV actor. As a stage actor, yes. Television actor, no. Film actor, yeah, a bit more. When it comes down to rehearsal time. But you also got to remember Rene Auberjonois had like a number of years of television experience, far more than what Patrick Stewart had in comparison at that point. When you look at the start of the Next Generation, the start of Deep Space Nine. Don't try to ooze your way out, Odo. You might be electrified. It would not be polite if he'd left. Like, some of just enjoy needling him there with that. Are there any danger? Who knows? If the turbo lift could drop and plummet down to the bottom of the station. Yeah, talk a bit. Get a little. Odo's like me though. It's like spend a lot of time alone, just chill alone with your own thoughts. However, Loxana is a motor mouth. It is odd that as a talkative woman like Loxana is attracted to quiet men, which means she and Mr. Home hook it up. And Mr. Home is an alcoholic, but hey, he's a tall, quiet man. He has. She can't do it. She can't stay quiet. You don't have to say a damn word, but she has to talk. Well, if you must, Loxana. Yeah, he just has to listen. He doesn't have to say much or anything at all. Oh yeah, things can be much worse. And she mentions here her daughter that she and Deanna were trapped aboard a Frankie cargo ship. It wasn't dreadful. She got it all with the daemon of that ship. Because that Damon had the hots for her, both for her mind, her telepathic abilities, and for her beauty and such. Yeah, she would like. There's like if anyone who is insufferable, in definition of insufferable is Loxana 99.9% of the time. Passion was real and she's kind of sweet. The fact that she's actually has that she finds that entire experience to be a fond memory. And again, it does say that she did got it on with the Damon. And Odo was just contemplating a way to escape. And she just kept going and going, and Bashir is just punching his fist. It's like you can tell he just wants to punch someone. It's a simple job. It's such a simple job, Cisco. That's why you dump it on a junior officer because Curzon Dax did it to you. Again, you can tell it's like the memory blocks of my memory unlock. I like the fact that Bashir dropped the line that, and now you take the same preserved pleasure in doing the same to me. And like Cisco to say, no, exactly. I'm in the position where I can dump it on the junior officer. It's like awesome. Yeah, it's like how Cisco got out of it. He hit one, but there was unique circumstances. Because Bashir is totally tempted to. Yeah, there's no way Bashir can get away with hitting one of the ambassadors after Cisco just told him the story of what happened. Why didn't it activate the turbo lift circuits? And there is a subtle change in how the computer is responding to O'Brien here. It's real subtle with how delivery is being read. It's real subtle. It's like less sarcastic, less back talk. Is that the same attitude? No, and trust me, you can tell. There's a number of times that in the original series was an episode where they talk about like the computer's personality being adjusted a number of times, where there was a female voice, a male voice, a more seductive female voice. It was like this happened a number of different times. Yeah, there's a crazy thing that the computer is doing things to get O'Brien's attention. Like the computer wants O'Brien's attention, and it's a shame that you don't that. Cause I know this is the one and done episode. As this is now, it's reminding me of what this other plot is. It's it's the doghouse bit that the computer has a bit of a consciousness to it, and that it's fond of O'Brien because it's giving all the attention and whatnot. Now, it would have been a very cool aspect of the show if that was something that was kept like a semi reoccurring, but it's a one and done plot element. Yeah, but it's like not the life form is not life forms don't totally come down to biological forms. Life can be totally different. Or no, left a baby on the doorstep, or heck, maybe it was a runaway. All right, I'm recording this at like 8:30 at night. Normally, I am in beginning of wind down mode and preparing for my Twitch streams. So you can kind of get an idea of the turnaround time from when I'm finished recording this and uploading this to YouTube and having it available for you on a Friday morning. Assuming, of course, YouTube is cooperating because uploads and stuff were rather slow the past few days. You know, there's something also about O'Brien, Comini's hair, and I have to look back and see what movies he was doing around this time, like 92, 93, because his hair certainly looks a lot fuller, but we know it kind of like thins out a little bit in season two. Or the photo doesn't get back to his pale in time, he'll be dripping through the station. That makes you wonder if he could not like draw himself totally back together again. Reset this, reinitialize that, and move the program back from over here to over there. Up, stand by, and the lights go out. Is the heat out? She didn't bring in the warm clothes, well, that's your fault. And if you need warm clothes, just swing on down to Garrick's. I'm sure he has something available. Yeah, O'Brien is a competent engineer. Because why aren't the backup systems functioning? Because it's a Kardashian space station. There is no backups. As opposed to a Federation starship where there's a backups for the backups for the backups, and they all fail in sequential order. And they turn the lights off on all the on the exterior model too. Granted, they also turn the stars off in in the exterior shot. And also a bit of the makeup on Odo's face. You can also see the strain is under. His makeup is considerably different on his face, not so much on his hands. The hair is him. He is this like oily and textury. It's a very impressive makeup job. Studied hairstyles, and he settled on that one. Yeah, he was found, and he was in a. He grew up in a test tube. He grown out. Like Odo had a rough upbringing of sorts. In a way, folks can relate to Odo that he had a very lonely adolescence, childhood, or whatever it is how you call it with changelings. Odo is going into panic, and there's a number of times he's smacking the com badge, and the strain that he's clearly under and holding his shape is really getting to him. It's actually a very good acting. And it's probably the first time he gets a chance to actually talk about his upbringing to somebody who even seems interested. Uh, Entertaining by changing shapes and stuff. Oh, to be a chair. Yeah, Odo, and we know Odo can transform into numerous objects: tripwire, a rat, glass, bottles, trays, and numerous other objects. Odo seems happy with that little invitation. Yes, every 16 hours he returns to a liquid form. He's in the 15th hour, and it's essentially him fighting to stay awake to some extent. I do like how Ops looks with the lights dimmed, and you have like the what essentially like a big light panel moving up, which is normally where you see the red alert lights flash. It it's gives it like a nice more serious feel. That although it's funny how darkening the set doesn't really work on Voyager. This looks like they're gonna trip over every damn thing. It's like whenever on Voyager, and what they're doing to disable the computer is essentially what the was seen in the TOS episode Wolf in the Fold, like overloading the computer's memory, working access memory, so it can be totally disabled. Everything's on standby mode, and the computer is overloaded and short circuit. Look, there's a circumstance there. There was the one that have the briefing at 4 in the morning. Lights or no lights. And then there's a fire. Fire has a fireball erupted. I think that's the same fireball effect from where wishes were horses. But you know, there's one thing that you can almost guarantee to happen on Deep Space Nine. Something is going to be set on fire at least twice, 2 to 3 times a season. Something is going to be set on fire. Or someone. And the ambassadors are panicking. Can't get the override to work. Look for something else. It's fake drama, but it's known that the ambassadors are trapped, and the foreshadowing here, whatever is going to happen, that Bashir will come out of it looking like a hero. A bipolar torch. They need a torch that has mood swings. O'Brien's mad that the computer is mad at him now? He had a pup once? What happened to it? It's like it ran into the spider that he once had. Actually, that reminds me, what became of O'Brien's spider? Did he just give it to Barkley? The entity likes to be in the middle of the action. Like trying to cut off his food supplies. You gotta give this unknown mechanical life form a doghouse with all the treats it can eat. And the makeup for Odo here is great because you can see on the back of his neck the detailing. He can't turn around. He doesn't want and doesn't want anyone to see her. He's melting. He's melting. But this is more personable. It's like Odo has his pride. He has his privacy. Oh boy, his face is all jello-y. I can't imagine this the caking of stuff and like the taking off of the wig. Hey, the all-natural look for Loxana. The first time and only time you actually see it in any episode that the character appears in. Loxana is not ordinary. She can't does not like looking ordinary. Loxana changes who she is all the damn time. Again, the makeup on for Odo's face here in his tired and worn out state is just incredible, and it's like it's almost like they slathered like a type of pudding on his face. Now that I think about it, like he's melting, melting. Well, she wanted to get him in her skirt. Well, and she succeeded. Like, and it's Cisco working the bipolar torch. Wonder how many mood swings the torch had from the time they got to him and the time where he's like nearly done cutting the hole. Subprogram pup, stand by. And everything, and all the lights and everything turn back on. Perfect. Can he get in? Where's the override? The override. And it's amazing. How many times do they destroy a set on Deep Space Nine over the course of the series? Quite a bit. Quite a bit. They actually put some effort into it, and it just looks the amount of effort that they will put into this corridor here after with the fireball to show that it got totally destroyed. It's far more than what you will see on the Next Generation, and Voyager really only does it once, and that's for the Year of Hell two-parter. Yes, thanks to Julian, we're all okay. Yes, the Doctor. He's clearly a Time Lord. Like everybody has praise for Bashir, and now he never has to do it again. Oh, and everything's back to normal. Loxana fixing her hair. No, it's probably better than what she had in mind for a picnic. It's like you can see like the amount of respect that Odo has for Loxana is far more than what you see from Picard or anyone on the Enterprise has for her as a character. Uh, so again, it's amazing. You get her away from the Next Generation writers and everything, and put her in a much more serious setting, and the Loxana Troy character works a hell of a lot better. It's like, why not? It's happy. He gets to play around. It's messing around with stuff. I have a theory that eventually works its way into becoming the Vic Fontaine program once it's up and running 24/7. I mean 26/7. Hey, keep the pup program off the furniture. But again, it's unfortunate that it's never brought up again, because especially say during the when the Dominion take over the station, uh, as part of the Dominion War arc. Can you imagine how like the pup will be like this, causing a little bit of havoc here and there because O'Brien is not there? Unless O'Brien downloaded the program and took it with him or relocated it. I can totally imagine O'Brien relocating the program to the Defiant, probably to annoy Worf when he was living on the Defiant because he could not adjust to life on the station. But anyway, this was overall a very good episode. It is without question the best use of the character of Loxana Troy. Uh, Again, there's like when you consider that most of her appearances on the Next Generation suck, with the exception of Half a Life, and where you actually can give the character to be like have the character be more grounded for once, where it's not overly over the top, but like putting her in a situation where she actually is a center of attention, but it's actually see her be the sensitive and listening side of her that you see in Half a Life, and that is kind. If Loxana was more like that in a lot of her other appearances, where she's not being overly used for comedic effect, it probably would have left a much better impression of the character for a lot of fans. However, because she was being the character was clearly meant to be a particular stereotype, and it it just it leads to her to stop being an enjoyable character. Bashir gets his moment to shine and is like a little bit of issues with the ambassadors and whatnot. Is like gives him some character growth. Is like trying to do the right thing as a young officer, trying to tolerate the assignment because not all the assignments he gets are glamorous. Although I can't really imagine giving it to someone in the medical field. Maybe someone who was probably like on a command track, possibly. But I get it. It's like a doctor being a lieutenant junior grade and technically and clearly part of the station senior staff. Like okay, if it was going to fall to him or it was going to fall to Dax, and there was no way Cisco was going to make a Dax do the be escorting the ambassadors around. So that kind of rules it out there just by process of elimination. Other than that, not much of consequence in this episode going forward. I think Laxana shows up in one more episode of Deep Space Nine. And I think that's in season 2, either season 2 or season 3. That she shows back up again. For like her last, what would be Michelle Barrett's like last on-screen appearance ever. So, but I can't recall exactly what that episode was, or I might be remembering entirely. Uh, anyway, I'll wrap this up here. Thank you very much for listening. As always, like, comment, subscribe if you're so inclined. We got 3 more episodes left in season 1, and but if you want to hang out and me at me where I am a lot more possibly engaging and coherent, be sure to swing over to my Twitch channel. Tonight, obviously here on Friday night, we're playing Shadow of the Tomb Raider, continuing our journey with that. Uh, and we've also, as of late, been playing Indiana Jones and the Great Circle once again to do it the feature its DLC and Gears of War Reloaded as a couple of revisits before we move on to other games. I think also we're going to be bringing back Tom Clancy's The Division 2 because they did an expansion not too long ago as a Wednesday night feature in the coming weeks. I'm not 100% sure. Anyway, have a great day. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next time. Bye, folks.